What's up, Knife Tube? It's diamond cut steel, and you guys are going to learn something today. So, today we're going to sharpen a steel that has a lot of negative and, in my opinion, incorrect press around it, and that would be good old S110V. Blurple. Spyderco Blurple, that says it all. S110V, pair of 3. You hear a lot about this steel with it being incredibly difficult to sharpen, or not wanting to deburr, just being a general pain in the ass, being chippy. And while if you're doing crazy stuff with it, yes, it can be chippy. I mean, look at the carbide volume of that steel, and that should explain to you why, if you're being, using the knife outside of its expected use range for that steel, you're gonna get some chipping. But I mean, you have to be being almost, I don't want to say foolish, but you have to be being unnecessarily difficult on that knife. S110V is very good at one thing, and that is maintaining a very aggressive working edge, very toothy and aggressive working edge for a very, very long period of time. And that it does very, very well. It's definitely not a steel that's going to hold its fine edge very well. That's not something that it does. It's not something that you should expect it to do. It does not hold a fine edge very good. But that's not where this steel shines at. I don't expect that from it, and you shouldn't either, because you're not going to get that. Right now, this knife has seen a ridiculous amount of cutting. And while this edge is done for, it's been stropped back quite a few times, and it's starting to, it's reaching that point of where the steel is fatigued and needs to be removed, because you strop it back, and is where it used to take, every 3 or 4 days need, a couple passes on the strop. Now it's down to where, a day, and it needs to be touched up on the strop. That is, the steel's deteriorated. It needs to be removed. But even still, this steel still has nice bite. You see it grabbing my fingers? Even, it has no fine edge left, but it still has good bite. It will not slice paper. Now I could strop it back to shaving, no problem. But it's at that point where it's just going to get less, or time in between stroppings is going to get less and less and less and less and less. It's time to remove that steel. My favorite edge on this steel, believe it or not, is off of this plate right here, the Nano Hone 100 micron. Now, I really do like an Atoma 400, another great edge. Veneve F100, fantastic. But this steel, fantastic. Like, in my opinion, either the FSK 400 or the Nano Hone 100 is where that steel likes to be finished the best. It loves this stone. It also loves the FSK 400 and the Atoma 400. Atoma, you know, like the 600 is about as high as I would go, like on the Atoma 600, or you know, like a Veneve F150. That's going to be a little too fine in my opinion. So we're going to use some Windex. Actually, we're going to delete the Windex and Dawn. I should have, hold on a second. I meant to get water and Dawn, but it don't matter, it's fine. So, this knife is at about, it looks to be about maybe 16 degrees per side. We're going to knock this edge off. Just cutting away that little bit of steel that's, yeah, there you go, she's dead now. It's just knocking away that little bit of steel that's right there at the apex, and you know. So let's get to work. Now, you'll hear so many people speak so poorly of this steel, and I'll never understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. This steel, for somebody who works in a warehouse, out on a farm, you know, blue collar work, where you need a long cutting edge that is that maintains a lot of aggression and keeps this bite for a long time in between sharpenings. This steel is exactly that. Now, I like S110V better, but that's not to say that I don't really love S110V. Okay? Okay. Can y'all see? Yes. You'll also hear about, oh, it's, you know, this steel's so hard to pull up a burr with, and you'll have a hell of a time deburring it, and that you can't deburr it on a stone. Okay, I'm sorry, that's not true. If you can't deburr this steel properly on the stone, that's not the steel's fault. That's a lack of know-how, because this steel you most certainly can deburr on the stone. Is the burr occasionally, look at that. Now how's it hard to pull up a noticeable burr on this steel? Look at that quick. And this by no means is an aggressive stone, or no super fast cutting stone. We got a full bevel with scratch pattern. It's perfect. We have a nice burr. You can actually see it. Now, okay. So that quick, I've already left the burr. If I was doing this, not recording, not talking to y'all, this is a 2-minute sharpening. You know, it's going to take longer than that because I'm talking, and just because, you know, I don't want to make a 2-minute video. Okay. Feeling that bevel intersect with the stone and lock against it. I'm going to knock that burr back. This steel gets such a bad rap for no reason, and it's kind of annoying. It's such a good steel. Now, it has its limitations, and yes, it is most certainly not the toughest steel out there. So if you're needing a tough steel, S110V is not that. Not by any means. What S110V is a steel that's got enough toughness for typical EDC type stuff, or around the around the homestead, around the farm, in the workshop, at the warehouse. It doesn't like heavy torquing loads. It doesn't want lots of lateral, stress on it. And like I said, it's just not the toughest steel in the world, but it's tough enough. And the work and how long this steel will hold an aggressive, toothy working edge is absolutely insane, so long as you do not polish it. This is one of those steels that you do not polish if you want it to perform. If you polish it, you're doing it for pocket jewelry type stuff, because I can tell you right now, it's going to perform like shit. This steel is one of, I think it hates to be polished even more so than Maximat. You polish this stuff, it performs like crap. Aggressive edges, 400, 600 max, but 320, 400, even like, hell, I wouldn't be opposed to a 220 like that DMT 220 mesh right there. I wouldn't have no problem putting that edge on this knife, and it's going to do a great job. Extremely aggressive, extremely toothy on that coarse of an edge, and it's going to like it. To me, that's a little too much. It'd be like finish it on a Toma 140, and you're going to hear a lot of people say, "Oh, you couldn't deburr that on a 140." Yeah, you can. But look at that, and we've already flipped our burr. Watch it. Take my nail off. See? Already flipped our burr full length. Yes, sir. Got a full length scratch pattern, full length to the bevel. It's perfect. Nice aggressive scratch pattern. Now I'm going to show you how quickly you can deburr this steel. And this is the part that you'll hear so many people say, "Oh yeah, you can't deburr this stuff. It's so hard to deburr." Watch this. Heavy, nice defined burr, full length, right? Watch this. We're gonna flip it. We got that burr flipped. We're gonna flip it back. Flip it back. When I'm doing this, I'm actually using moderate pressure. Now, I'm flipping that burr back. I can already feel that burr breaking loose. Okay, one more. Okay. We're not deburred yet. However, that burr's already in the process of breaking off. Big time. Now what I'm going to do is simply take, we're going to simply take an exactly sharpening angle and make some very light edge leading passes. And feel the burr grabbing the stone. This is going to be a one and done type sharpening too. I'm not saying it's the easiest steel to deburr, but it's definitely not no hard steel to deburr, and on top of that, it responds very nicely to the stones. You can deburr if you know what you're doing. Just take your time. No problem on the stones. You're going to get most of your burr off right here. Now I'm just going to make alternating lighter and lighter passes at exactly sharpening angle. I can already feel the burr giving way. I'm making progressively lighter passes. And now that's going to be mostly deburred. There may be some fragments. There may be some burr fragments. Oh, that's great. That is beautiful. Nice and aggressive. Can you all see? Nice and aggressive. Don't even need to touch this drop. Yep. There is still a teeny bit of burr on there. I can feel it grab in a couple places. So I'm going to make a few more extremely light deburring passes. I just felt some break off just then. In fact, I see it right there. Let's see if I can show you. And this is what I mean. Why? And this is a very well done piece of S110V. And this right here is why I don't understand why people have such a hard time deburring the stone. Look at this. Look how nice this is. I don't know if you can see. Come on, stick to my finger, damn it. Let's see. I'll have to show you all like this. Let's see. You see that piece right there? That is a piece of burr. That is a microscopic little wire, near super thin little piece of wire. And so is that. Those are, two big pieces of burr that come off of there. Really, come on now. Alright, I got y'all. But yeah, there's a piece, there's a piece, there's a piece. See if I can get that to come up to show you on the tip of my finger. It's going to be a pain in the ass and stick to the stone. Anyways, you can see it. Now, what I don't want to do, I don't want to slam my fresh apex into that hardened steel. So, you're gonna want to wash your, go rinse your stone off. I'm just gonna wipe it off and see if I can get it to. Right there's a piece. That's a big piece right there. Nope, and I can't pick it up. Did I get it? Maybe so, actually. Yes, I do. No, I don't see it. Anyhow, See if you can see it on here. No, it probably broke apart as I was rolling across the stone. And now I'm going to re-wet the stone slightly, and we're going to lift it off again and make sure that hardened piece of steel I'm not slamming my apex into. Looks good. So, because I felt a few little pieces of burr remaining when I'm cutting, I'm going to make a couple lighter, progressively lighter passes. Now remember, if I was doing this in real time, it would just take me hardly any time at all. The S110V really gets a bad rap, and it shouldn't. I don't know why it does. I don't know why people claim it's so hard to sharpen. I don't know why people claim it's so hard to deburr. I just don't get it, because it's not. It is actually a fantastic steel. That should be pretty good. I'm not even going to touch this knife to any diamond strop. I'm literally just going to make a couple passes on a dry strop. Ooh, beautiful. Nice and aggressive. Nice and aggressive edge. So, here we're going to take a dry strop, no compound on it. And we're going to go right at sharpening angle, maybe slightly higher. And we're simply going to make a couple passes. Okay. Now that should be a beautiful edge. Look, absolutely awesome. Now, if I wanted to get some push cut performance, I would simply make a few passes on like some 3 micron or 1 micron on a strop. That's going to bring up that keenness quite a bit, while not losing much bite. And as you can see, it's definitely going to shave. Focus, yeah. But very, very aggressive edge, lots and lots and lots of bite. Very sticky. But again, lots of bite, and that's what's important. That's what you want with this steel. Focus. That's what you want with this steel. It's all about the bite. If you don't have, if you polish the steel and you take away that aggression from the scratch pattern, you totally destroy the performance of that steel. 100 micron, fantastic. This stone and that steel, match made in heaven. But as you see, S110V is not the beast that people make it out to be. It really isn't. It's a fantastic steel if you need extremely long working edge retention. High bite, shredding type edges that maintain that for a very, very long time. That's what this steel is great at. It's not about the upfront sharpness with this steel. However, if you do an edge like I just did, the upfront sharpness, this is not no super keen edge. when I use this edge, it may fall off. It may lose a slight amount of keenness from this point, but it's going to stay relatively close to that level of sharpness. It's going to lose a little bit of keenness, but not much. The keenness is going to drop off a little bit, and that highly aggressive edge is just going to maintain for a very, very long time. It drops back pretty nicely. I'll come back once, you know, this edge starts to, that bite starts to dwindle a little bit. I'll make a few passes on like some 6 micron, and it's going to come right back to hair shaving, and I repeat the process. You know, I'm going to get quite a while in between stropping cycles like that, and you know, after, I don't know, it depends on how you're using the knife, but after enough stropping cycles to where it starts to, stropping and use cycles to where you start to notice, okay, well, it used to would go 3 or 4 days in between a stropping. Now it's 2 days in between a stropping. Now it's 1 day in between a stropping. Once it starts to do that, that's when it's time to hit the stones. But you're going to get plenty of strop backs off that edge right there. And because of that very aggressive scratch pattern, you are not going to ever get this edge to start to get slick. It's, yeah, there we go. That really shows that scratch pattern nicely. There we go, right there. Yeah, beautiful. Look at that. Nice, aggressive scratch pattern. That's what you want on this steel. Veneve F100, Atoma 400, Nanohone 100 micron, DMT 325 mesh, even 220 mesh. Yeah, any stones in that range, yeah, not extremely coarse, but gonna leave a quite aggressive scratch pattern. That's a stone that's gonna work well for this steel. And try to keep it diamond or CBN only. There's way too much hard carbide in this to be trying to sharpen this on like a, you know, an alumina stone or silicone carbide. I have sharpened it on silicone carbide and it does okay. But you're in that position where you're not cutting the carbide, you're just cutting the matrix. So keep it diamond or CBN, and you're going to be much happier with how the steel cuts and how it reacts in use. So I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. Don't let people scare you off from S110V. It really is an awesome steel. It really, if you like aggression and you like a edge that maintains aggression for an extremely long time, you're gonna love S110V. You ought to give it a chance. It really is good stuff. Alright guys, I hope y'all learned something.